this war's gonna end.
And there's a very deliberate reason that I chose that clip saying this war is going to end, because that's something that's critically important to keep in mind, that this downturn will end at some point. Markets trees don't grow to the sky, and markets don't go to zero. So, but I'm kind of waiting for some kind of panic. I confess that I tend to exit shorts usually way too early, which is sort of ironic for someone like me. The thing is that at some point, some pandering politician is going to stop all our fun. It's going to spoil the party. It will happen. It will happen. There will be, at some point, some major orchestrated effort, which actually the market will finally buy and accept as big and bold enough to make a difference, and that's going to wreck all the fun we're having. So count on it. The problem is you don't know when it's going to come or where it's going to come from. If you take your profit now and run away, and the S&P goes to 950, well, you've left a ton of money on the table. If you just kind of hang on, you might wake up to see the ES up 50 points one morning. That's the concern. So for myself, I'd be more comfortable covering during real capitulation, which I don't think has happened yet. The thing is, this morning I pointed out 1102 as an important level, and that was broken today. And I think the big question is this: are we at the very lowest part of the range we've seen the past couple of months? If so, we're just going to bounce up again. Or have we completed a head and shoulders pattern here, implying we're going to fall to levels last seen in the prior summer? I have no way of knowing. I just glanced as I'm recording this. It's about 6:45 p.m. Monday night. The ES was up about 3, which is not a big surprise considering what a down day it had. But it's all about the euro, and it's been about the euro for a long time. I see a couple of different scenarios playing out, setting aside the daily prospect of a huge bounce at the open. The two prospects I see are, one, a fall down to about 1030 to 1050. That's the range I keep going back to. Or, and these aren't mutually exclusive, but or a small bounce up to, let's call it 1102 to 1130, somewhere around there, but 1102 ideally, and then a fall down much lower to like 980. So I'm inclined to believe that we're not going to be done with this until we, have some big scare down to as low as 980 or as not so low as 1050. 1030 is kind of where I'm most comfortable. I've got a lot of shorts on right now, but good shorts are getting harder and harder and harder to find, because all the really good prices were, well, the fantastic prices were late in July. The good prices were around September 1. Right now, the risk is getting higher and higher. Having said that, let's look at a few index charts here. NASDAQ Composite. We are either at the lowest end of a range that has been hit back in the August 8th low and around August 17. And so this line right here on the NASDAQ Composite, 2331.65, if that's breached, I think it clears the way to getting down to the summer 2010 levels, which is quite a bit lower, about 10 to 15% lower. But that is a huge question. Are we at the lowest end, or are we about to break an important pattern? Looking at the Dow Industrials, which hasn't been as susceptible to the sell-off as other indexes. here is that range. It's big. Let's call it 1,000 points. It implies a fall down to about 9,600 or so. Again, down to the depths of June, July 2010. What would that take? A Greek default, something else that just terrifies people? Who knows? It all kind of makes sense that some kind of panic would give the world's central bankers and politicians the license to do something really nuts to save the world again. The mid caps, very pretty Fibonacci arc pattern here. That kind of distorts it. This doesn't seem to have as much room to fall to me. More like a 720 on that. I noticed OIX, the oil index, broke a trend line. You know, it's only got a couple of prior touch points to it, but I don't think it's insignificant that this trend line, which is established back for the past several years, was broken today. I think it's worth noting. The Russell 2000. This is just kind of pointing out something completely useless, which is what was. I had actually pointed out this trend line when it was live and happening back in late August. I had posited that this might be a wonderful place to short, and you know what it was. August 30/September 1 was a dynamite place to short. This trend line turns out to be pretty darn important. And so when it kissed the underbelly of that broken line, that was a fantastic place to short. Looking at this arc pattern, it seems to me that if we do continue to be weak, getting down to like 560, 550 even, is within the realm of possibility. This one's just been getting smacked. Crude oil, which I've been obsessed with for quite some time now, is, as I'm typing this, continues somewhat weak. This level at about 76.61 is threatened. We could, I don't know, gosh, even get below 70 if this falls. Could happen. And let's take another fresh look at the ES. We're up 2 1/4 right now. It seems kind of obvious that we get a kick to 1102 right now, which is pretty big, actually. You know, if we wake up and the ES is up 10, 12, 14 points, it's actually kind of good news for the bears, because that's a nice retracement to the neckline. So I won't be too upset if I see that. It's always easier to see it down, but you know. And then finally, the forex we all care so much about, the euro. And just to be clear, you know, these consummations of I said this and I said that aren't to pat myself on the back. It's just to emphasize the importance of certain breaks and so forth. So when I do these like follow-up posts and like, you know, look what I said a week ago, it isn't not nanny foo-foo. It's to illustrate the importance of patterns or trend line breaks. And here again, the euro, I had pointed out this break was important, this break was important, this break was important, and this break is important. We broke it way back since like ancient history, but it's only last month, back on September 5th or so, and it's been falling. And you know, looking at the big picture, it looks like it has a lot farther to go. I mean, it seems to me that as bearish sentiment is on the euro, from a chart perspective, it looks like it has a long way to go in the coming year. Who knows? Maybe we'll be at parity next year. It could happen. Seems outlandish, but I think it's entirely possible we're at parity, which would make another trip to Paris pretty attractive for me. So, and the last thing I want to show is something which is probably the most important chart I've got to share, which is this, the TLT. For myself, if I'm going to look for a tell as to, you know, now's probably a good time to cover, it's if and when the TLT smashes up against this fan line. It is not far away. Being a person who likes to short things, it occurred to me that it would be a devilishly good time to short this if it did that. This whole flight to quality thing, is still very much in play. I mean, this was up 2.5% today to a new lifetime high, which is pretty incredible. Anyway, I'm watching this like a hawk because these fan lines are rather intriguing to me, and I think if we're butting up against there to, I don't even know what the figure is, 128. I don't know. I'm just throwing these numbers out. It'll have to be examined in real time. I think that'd be an interesting time to short the TLT and then cover on the equity side. So I'll be watching that real closely. One last thing that I wanted to say, nothing to do with charts, but it's about this whole Occupy Wall Street thing. I was really intrigued by it. I don't like to travel, but I was even toying with the idea of going out to New York, checking it out, being a part of it, seeing if there was something local here. And then I took a look tonight at their list of demands. And, just speaking from my perspective, I think my experience is going to be shared with a lot of people, which is they've taken all the goodwill and the excitement and the interest, and in the span of just one list of demands, pretty much snuffed it out for me, and I think for a lot of other people. Because look, if you're going to have a cause, and you've got the public's attention, what makes a lot more sense if you want to succeed is to have a single, focused, achievable goal. Let's say, for example, and I'm just making this up, let's say that their, this would be kind of a dumb goal, but I just want to give a good example. Let's say that their goal was to put Lloyd Blankfein in prison. It's not a bad goal, I think, but let's say it was. Let's say that they believed a 5-year prison sentence for Lloyd Blankfein for the fault, these given charges was their goal. I'm not saying that the man should be accused of anything particular. I'm just using this as an example. That's something people can get their arms wrapped around. You state the charges, you state why what he did was bad, and you ask the following authorities to take action. That's something that probably the public could rally around. It's something that that is achievable. However, if you come up with a list of like 15 demands, like free college for everyone, equal rights amendment, a racial equality amendment to the Constitution, $1 trillion for ecological projects, $1 trillion for new jobs. This is from memory, but these seriously are what they were asking for. The list goes on and on. Look, the Equal Rights Amendment spent about 10 years in the 70s trying to get through, and it didn't go anywhere. The list of demands they have, that's just like one of over a dozen that they want. It's just not going to happen. It's just absurd. Free college for everyone? Are you kidding me? This is out of the question. So what they're doing, I mean, it just shows a real lack of intelligent leadership on their part. So I imagine that this, unlike the whole Arab Spring thing, this thing is just going to kind of dissipate into nothing, and the Wall Street will breathe a sigh of relief that it was just a bunch of dirty hippies running around with stupid socialist demands. It's kind of a shame. I think it's cool that they've got this much attention, but I think they're squandering it on this absurd list. Just too bad. Because at some point, the citizens of the U.S. are going to wake up and are going to want the Richard Folds of the world in prison. They will want them to pay for their crimes. Or they're going to want a confiscatory tax of like 95% of their assets or something. They're going to want some real pound of flesh. The public fervor isn't there yet. I don't think it'll be there for about another year. But this was an interesting start, and I think they're going to squander it. So, oh well, I ain't going to New York now. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And there's no doubt this is going to be a really interesting week. Let's see which way the cards fall. I'm going to go watch the premiere of House tonight. See you later. Bye.
Put on heading 270. Assume attack formation. That's a roger, Big Duke. Okay, we're going in. Here we go. We're coming low out of the rising sun. And about a mile out, we'll put on the music. You think? Yeah, I use Wagner. It scares the hell out of the slopes. My boys love it.